Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video because what I'm about to reveal could completely change how people see you and how women respond to you. I want you to picture this for a second. You walk into a room and there's a subtle shift. People notice you, not just because you're physically present, but because something about your energy commands attention. Maybe women glance at you, maybe men respect you differently, but something undeniable happens. That's the invisible aura I'm about to teach you to cultivate. And it doesn't matter if you're 40, 50, or even 60. In fact, your age can work as your secret weapon if you understand these truths. Here's the first thing almost no one tells older men. Attractiveness isn't about muscles, hair, or even the clothes you wear. Those are just surface-level illusions. The real magnetism comes from the way your mind, your confidence, and your habits broadcast to the world that you are someone worth noticing. Women pick up on signals subconsciously, and men can feel the quiet dominance of a man who knows himself. It's subtle, it's refined, and it's devastatingly effective. So, where do most men fail? They chase youth. They try to fight age with expensive creams, hair transplants, or desperate social media posts. But here's the secret. True attractiveness in older men is layered. It's composed of presence, style, confidence, and emotional intelligence. And before you dismiss this as fluff, understand this. Women don't just react to your face. They react to your life, your energy, how you carry yourself after decades of experience, how you handle stress, humor, and even silence. And here's the kicker. When you master this, you don't need to try to impress anyone. Your life becomes the statement. Women, colleagues, even casual acquaintances will instinctively respect, admire, and notice you. That's power. That's influence. That's what being a good-looking older man really means. But I need you to be honest with yourself. How much of this are you currently living? How much are you hiding behind excuses about age, looks, or what society says you should be? Because once you face those truths, the transformation begins. And trust me, it's far more thrilling than any gym session or makeover. This is not a fantasy. This is psychology. This is strategy. And by the end of this video, you'll see exactly how to start turning every room you enter into your stage, every glance into subtle admiration, and every conversation into quiet influence. Let's get real for a moment. One of the biggest secrets older men overlook is the power of posture, presence, and voice. Not the kind of voice that screams for attention, but the tone that commands it without trying. A man in his 40s or 50s who walks with purpose, who doesn't fidget or apologize for existing, immediately signals something women and men alike can't ignore. This is primal psychology at work. You are literally communicating your value before you even say a word. But here's the truth that most men resist. Confidence isn't built overnight, and it's never about arrogance. It's about consistency. It's about showing up for yourself in ways that are small, daily, and undeniable. Every morning you decide to dress sharply, to maintain eye contact, to speak clearly, to walk like your life matters. You are programming yourself to be noticed. Women, without even realizing it, respond to that signal. They feel it in their gut. And men, they either respect it or quietly resent it. Either way, you are commanding space in the world. Now let's talk style. Not trends, not flashy brands, but subtle cues that broadcast competence and refinement. A crisp jacket, a watch that actually fits, shoes that are maintained. These are not vanity, they are psychology. These cues tell the world you are someone who invests in himself, someone who respects himself. And when a woman sees that, her brain reacts differently. She's evaluating not just your looks, but the story you tell without words. Are you disciplined? Are you intentional? Are you someone worth her time and attention? The answer becomes obvious before she even speaks. Here's another truth few men acknowledge. Your social energy is more important than your physical energy. Older men often carry exhaustion, stress, and insecurity, and it leaks out unconsciously. Women sense it immediately. But a man who manages his energy, who is calm under pressure, who can laugh easily and lightly, suddenly appears younger, more vibrant, and magnetic. This isn't fake youth, it's applied emotional mastery. And mastering this makes you stand out far more than any facelift or haircut ever could. The final piece in this section is your story. Every scar, every success, every lesson you've learned is a tool. Women are drawn to men who have depth, who have history, who have perspective. Sharing just enough of that story without bragging, without apologizing, creates intrigue. It makes you memorable. And remember, memorability is the true currency of attraction for older men. So, ask yourself right now, are you shaping your presence or letting the years shape you? Because the difference between being invisible and being impossible to ignore starts here. And once you understand this, you unlock the next layer of secrets that will have women noticing you in ways you never imagined. Here's a truth almost no one tells you. Confidence alone isn't enough. It's the kind of controlled vulnerability that makes you magnetic. Women notice men who can hold themselves with quiet strength, yet aren't afraid to show emotion when it matters. This isn't weakness, it's a signal that you've lived, you've experienced, and you've survived. There's a deep, unspoken allure in a man who understands his own heart and can express it without apology. That balance, strength, and vulnerability is what separates older men who are merely noticed from those who are unforgettable. Let's talk about presence on a deeper level. When you walk into a room, every gesture, every pause, every glance sends a message. Are you tense, anxious, trying too hard to impress, or are you relaxed, intentional, owning your space? Women subconsciously read these cues in milliseconds. They feel safety, stability, and power radiating from a man who moves deliberately. It's not about dominating others, it's about mastering yourself so profoundly that the room bends subtly to your rhythm. That's invisible charisma. Now, I need you to understand something critical. Your habits create an aura. The way you manage your health, your finances, and your time tells women who you are before you speak a word. An older man who exercises consistently, dresses neatly, keeps a clean home, and prioritizes his mental clarity isn't just physically appealing. He communicates self-respect, discipline, and reliability. Women are wired to notice these patterns. They unconsciously categorize them as indicators of a man who can provide security and emotional stability. Here's another secret most men ignore. Humor is a weapon, but timing is everything. The ability to make someone laugh, not in desperation, but in ease and timing, signals intelligence and social awareness. Older men often underestimate this, assuming charm is all about looks or wealth. It's not. It's about creating moments of emotional resonance. When you make someone feel understood, seen, and entertained simultaneously, you become unforgettable. That's magnetic energy. Finally, let's confront a hard reality. Many older men settle because they think the clock is ticking, but the truth is your attractiveness peaks when you stop chasing approval and start building your life around your values. Women notice men who are unapologetically themselves, men who live with intention, who laugh, who pursue passions that light them up. That confidence, combined with authenticity, becomes irresistible. So take a moment to ask yourself, are you living in a way that commands respect and attention, or are you waiting for the world to give you permission to matter? Because once you internalize these truths, you'll understand why older men, when they master these secrets, are impossible to ignore. Now let's dive into one of the most overlooked secrets: the power of selective attention. Women notice what you choose to focus on far more than what you say. The older men who turn heads aren't reacting to every stimulus. They are deliberate. They decide where to place their energy, their time, their conversation. When a woman feels that your attention is earned, not given freely to everyone, it triggers an unconscious attraction. It communicates value without boasting. And that kind of control over your focus is deeply magnetic. Think about your conversations. Are you listening to reply or listening to understand? Are you interrupting, competing, or genuinely connecting? Older men who master this subtly shift the dynamic. Women feel it when a man listens with presence, when he responds thoughtfully instead of reflexively. It's not about impressing with words, it's about creating an emotional experience. You are not just talking, you are signaling stability, maturity, and depth. That's what sets men apart when they age. Here's another layer: your lifestyle. Women aren't just attracted to a man, they are drawn to a man's life. A man who has cultivated hobbies, social connections, and personal passions communicates vitality and independence. Even subtle details, like knowing good restaurants, having a favorite book, or being skilled at something unique, send signals of competence and richness in life. Women pick up on it instantly. It's irresistible because it promises excitement, stability, and emotional safety simultaneously. Let's confront another truth. Older men often underestimate the power of mystery. Sharing everything about yourself too quickly is a trap. When you hold space for curiosity, when you let your presence speak louder than your biography, women can't help but be intrigued. This isn't manipulation, it's natural psychology. Mystery keeps engagement high. It draws attention without effort. It makes women notice your energy first, your story second. And once they're curious, every word, every glance, every subtle gesture compounds that attraction. Finally, let's talk about energy management. Women, and people in general, are drawn to energy, not just appearance. Older men who understand this create an aura that feels effortless yet commanding. They move with calm confidence, laugh easily, and maintain emotional stability even under tension. That is irresistible because it signals a man who is resilient, experienced, and reliable. Your energy communicates more than your words, your looks, or your achievements ever could. So the question for you is this: are you intentionally shaping your presence, your focus, and your energy, or are you leaving it to chance? Because mastering these subtle, almost invisible psychological levers is what transforms you from ordinary to unforgettable. Here's a truth that older men rarely grasp. Your voice, tone, and cadence are silent weapons of attraction. Women are wired to respond to vocal confidence more than words. A man who speaks slowly with clarity, without unnecessary filler, communicates authority and calm. It's not about being loud or dominating, it's about control. When your voice resonates with quiet certainty, it sends signals of competence and reliability, and those signals are noticed instinctively. Now let's talk about emotional intelligence. Women are unconsciously scanning for men who can handle complexity without panic. Life isn't always smooth, and older men who navigate challenges with composure automatically become magnetic. You're not pretending to have all the answers. You're demonstrating that your experience has taught you how to manage yourself, your reactions, and your relationships. That control, mixed with empathy, is the combination that makes women sit up and pay attention. It's subtle, it's quiet, yet it's incredibly powerful. Here's another layer: how you handle scarcity and abundance. Men often make the mistake of appearing desperate for attention, validation, or approval, but a man who is secure, who doesn't chase, who gives attention selectively, instantly becomes more desirable. Women are drawn to men who have options, not just romantic options, but life options. It signals confidence, value, and independence. That subtle tension between availability and self-containment is magnetic in a way that looks effortless, yet it's deeply psychological. Next, your grooming and maintenance matter, but not like a boy obsessed with youth. Subtle, consistent care communicates that you value yourself. Hair trimmed, nails clean, skin maintained, these signals indicate self-respect. Women sense that immediately, and it doesn't matter if you're not model perfect. The psychology of attention is more about effort and consistency than raw perfection. That's why older men who understand this quietly outperform younger men who rely solely on looks. Finally, let's examine your storytelling. The older man, who can weave experiences, lessons, and humor into a conversation without ego, immediately becomes memorable. Women love a man with depth, a man whose life carries lessons and intrigue. You're not bragging, you're narrating your life with authenticity. That creates curiosity, respect, and attraction simultaneously. And when combined with presence, tone, and controlled energy, it becomes a formula for being noticed effortlessly. So reflect. Are you cultivating these silent signals, or are you waiting for attraction to happen by chance? The difference between blending into the background and commanding attention as an older man is all in the mastery of these invisible psychological levers. And once you integrate them, your presence becomes impossible to ignore. Now we arrive at the truth that separates ordinary older men from those who are unforgettable: mastery over yourself. Everything we've discussed, presence, energy, tone, habits, lifestyle, emotional intelligence, it all culminates here. Women notice not just what you do, but who you are beneath it all. A man who is grounded, resilient, and self-aware radiates a kind of magnetism that no superficial charm can replicate. This is the ultimate secret. Your inner world dictates your outer impact. Let's talk about resilience. Life has tested you, maybe in ways that younger men can't imagine. Every failure, heartbreak, and challenge has given you a map to navigate people and situations with precision. When you carry that quietly, without bitterness, it communicates strength. Women unconsciously pick up on this. They feel safety, stability, and attraction to men who have endured, learned, and grown without losing themselves. That's a power most men don't even know exists. Another hidden secret: your authenticity is your superpower. Older men often try to mask imperfections, cover insecurities, or emulate trends. But women are drawn to authenticity. They can sense when a man owns his life, his age, his flaws, and his victories. There's no need to prove anything. Your energy, your decisions, your calm confidence say it all. Authenticity creates trust, curiosity, and desire simultaneously. Now, influence. The older man who is magnetic doesn't need to dominate conversations or spaces. Influence comes from being consistent, reliable, and calm. People notice when a man's words align with his actions. When a man manages his energy, communicates effectively, and lives with integrity, he commands respect without demanding it. That subtle command is the invisible quality that women and men alike cannot ignore. Finally, let's consider legacy. The good-looking older man isn't defined by fleeting attention. He's defined by how he leaves an impression. Every gesture, every glance, every conversation adds up to a presence that lingers long after he leaves. That's why older men, when they master these psychological, emotional, and behavioral levers, become unforgettable. They are noticed not just for what they look like, but for the life they embody, the wisdom they exude, and the energy they carry. So here's your challenge. Stop chasing youth, stop relying on external validation, and start mastering the deeper layers of attraction. Your presence, your energy, your story, your mind. Do that, and every room you enter becomes your stage. Every interaction becomes magnetic, and every woman, consciously or unconsciously, will notice you. Because at the end of the day, being a good-looking older man isn't about age, it's about mastery, and mastery is irresistible.